Binge or Bin from The Independent, giving you the lowdown on which TV shows are binge-worthy and which ones are bin-worthy. This week, we'll be discussing The Walking Dead as it reaches season 11 and the new Marvel show What If on Disney+.
We've also caught up with HBO's new miniseries The White Lotus, which is streaming on Sky Atlantic, and the second season of Amazon Prime's Modern Love.
And we'll introduce you to our picks of hidden gems we think you should be watching.
Hey Jacob.
Hi Annabel, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Cool. So let's talk TV. You've been watching the latest season of The Walking Dead?
I have. I've been watching The Walking Dead for 11 years now, which is a staggering amount of time to be watching one TV show. It began in 2010 with a very modest 6 episodes and jumped forward to now, and it's franchise. It's one of the biggest shows in the world, one of the most consistently viewed, and it's got 2 spin-offs with another one on the way, as well as a trilogy of films based around Andrew Lincoln's character. I think there's a lot of Walking Dead in the world right now, and I wouldn't blame a lot of people for being turned off from it, but I think what's worth noting is that from season 9 onwards, this is season 11, Angela Kang stepped in as a showrunner, and she's kind of led the show into a new era of actually really confident, astute storytelling. This is the final season, season 11, and this is the first 2 episodes we'll be airing of 24. It's going to be eked out over 2 years. I think a lot of people came to the show in the early years because it was a zombie show. They wanted the horror, and then it kind of coalesced into more. It was very interested in showing the depravity of humans in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And the zombies ended up being essentially walk-ons in their own show. From what I've seen of season 11 so far, they're really kind of bringing it back to the nitty-gritty and the horror element, which I think is really good. The first few episodes are actually very claustrophobic, which could have something to do with the COVID restrictions, not permitting them to kind of be out and about on location. And it's very tense and very scary in a way that I remember the first few seasons being.
I don't leave anybody behind, not ever.
This is an ensemble. Over the year, they've introduced so many characters. You couldn't really hang yourself onto one apart from the originals, who now there's only 2 left. You've Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl, and you've got Melissa McBride, who plays Carol. So what's great is Angela Kang and the team they're making you like the other characters just as much. And I really want to praise one in particular, Elena Matsura, who plays Yumiko, who was introduced in season 9. She hasn't really been given much to do at all. And she gets a hell of a lot to do in the first few episodes. And it makes you wonder, why haven't they given her a bigger role yet?
So it sounds like I know where the answer's going, but is it a binge or a bin?
No one's going to be watching the show if they haven't watched it. But for those who want to tune in, who are intrigued to see what the final season looks like, I think they're going to want to binge it. And I think for that, it's a resounding binge.
God isn't here anymore.
So, Modern Love is back for another season, and Annabel, I believe you have been watching it.
So after nearly 2 years, the second series of Modern Love is finally here. For those who don't know, it's an Amazon Prime original series, which is based on a New York Times column of the same name, which was essentially love stories, kind of exploring all these different facets of love in different essays. And so the TV adaptation took those stories and adapted them for on screen. Each episode is self-contained and explores one different story. And while those first seasons are kind of fixed in New York City, the second season really opens it up. So you've got some episodes set in Dublin and in London. And I think that was kind of detrimental to this second series. What people loved about Modern Love season 1 was kind of New York City played a character of its own. I feel like they've lost that by opening it up to other cities. But what does remain the same as season 1 is kind of the rota of very impressive A-list actors that they've got to sign on.
Why don't you text her?
I don't have her number.
How are you going to contact this woman?
We arranged to meet on the train.
That first season had people like Anne Hathaway, Tina Fey, Julia Garner, Dev Patel, Andrew Scott, and the same can be said for the second series, which has Tobias Menzies, Anna Paquin, Minnie Driver. So you've still got those A-list names, but I think the difference here is they're not given the material to really explore what they can do. I think it's kind of lost its spark this time round.
It's a shame. I mean, John Carney is the showrunner, and he directed Once and Sing Street, which are both really good films. Would you rather watch him do another season of Modern Love or go back to making, his own films?
I think go back to making his own films. On the whole, I'd give this one a miss.
Overall then, so Modern Love, binge or bin?
I would binge the first season just because it's just kind of novel and fun, but by the second season I think it gets kind of tired. The second season is a bin for me.
So I've been watching What If, which is yet another Marvel show being released on Disney+. Now, what separates What If from the other ones is that this is an animated show featuring characters that we know and love. Well, we all know, some might not love. And it reimagines events that we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, for example, you've got Agent Peggy Carter, played by Hayley Atwell in the MCU. But here, we kind of see an animated version of what would happen if she was given the serum that Steve Rogers had to become Captain America. Knowledge of the Marvel Universe is required for this, which I think a lot of the other Marvel shows thus far hasn't really been the case. Some people return to voice their characters, some don't. So you have Iron Man, not voiced by Robert Downey Jr., and you have Drax the Destroyer, controversially not voiced by Dave Bautista. He's actually been quite vocal about not getting asked to do that. Why? I mean, it's probably down to money, isn't it? But it does take you out of things. And AC Bradley is a showrunner and head writer of What If. She's got really good grip on the material. She knows her stuff and is going to deliver stuff that's really exciting for diehard fans of Marvel. And just to say, she's got history on animation. Previous, she did Troll Hunters, and she's actually got a writing credit on the forthcoming Disney Plus show Ms. Marvel. She's obviously got a vision of what she wants to do here, and it is fun. The adventures are good if you're a die-hard Marvel fan.
Who are you?
The name's Captain Carter.
And just to say, the animations are great. There's no denying that. Stefan Frank is the animator here, and the visuals are they're fun. You know, they zip along. But if you're even a casual Marvel fan who feels like you need to kind of watch everything that Marvel does to understand everything, I would say it's you steer clear from this. It's not so much flogging a dead horse as flogging a living horse that's still got huge life in it yet, with loads of other Marvel TV shows and films coming. There's a lot of TV out there, and it makes you wonder if we did need this one.
So it's not so much what if, but why this?
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
So is it a binge or a bin?
I think it's a bin. There's a lot of other stuff out there that needs support. Go support that instead.
So White Lotus feels like one of those shows that came out of nowhere. The 6-episode HBO miniseries is this scathing social satire, which is set in Hawaii at this uber luxy resort called the White Lotus. So the season kicks off with a death, and that's not a spoiler. It's literally the first scene in the first episode. And then the series kickstarts by going back in time a week, just seeing how you got there. So as well as the hotel guests, you've also got the hotel staff, and the dynamic between the two is great. And each episode plays out like this upstairs, downstairs thing, and interplay between the two factions really forms kind of the backbone of a lot of the social satire here. But what really stands out about White Lotus is the writing, courtesy of Mike White, who previously wrote everyone's favorite film, School of Rock, which he also starred in as Ned Schneebly. Mike White is just such a great writer, and it's just really on show with the White Lotus, and I feel like he's really getting his due here. Satire is really hard to get right sometimes, but in this series it never feels heavy-handed or cruel for the sake of being cruel. It really walks that fine line.
Surprise! Mom! Am I interrupting? I know it's only your honeymoon. Oh my God, look at her face. Rachel, you were such a beautiful bride, but also very pale. But now you have a little more color and it looks great.
So of course you've also got the cast. You've got Alexandra Daddario and Jake Lacey playing newlyweds, and their relationship is kind of responsible for some of my favorite scenes in the show. And then you've got this kind of picture-perfect family played by Steve Zahn, Connie Britton from Friday Night Lights, and then their children, Quinn and Olivia. So Olivia is played by Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney, who is so good in this. She is such a brat. And of course, you've also got the brilliant Jennifer Coolidge, who has previously played really one-dimensional characters. And here she stars as Tanya, who's this lonely and fragile woman who's come to the resort by herself to spread her mother's ashes. It's just great to see Jennifer Coolidge kind of get her due. So they just announced earlier this week that it will be returning for a second season, although it will be with a whole new cast. And I feel like we're seeing that more now with shows, these anthology shows.
The White Lotus, is it a binge or a bin?
It is such a binge.
So here on Binge or Bin, we like to shine a light on the hidden gems that you might have missed or you don't know about, shows that we really think you should bring to the front of your watch list. The one I am picking this week, my hidden gem, is UTOPIA, which is a Channel 4 show that aired for 2 series, 2013 to 2014, before receiving a very, very undeserved cancellation. Now, this is created by Dennis Kelly. He did The Third Day with Jude Law, which was on Sky last year, and he did Together, the lockdown films, one-off film starring James McAvoy and Sharon Horgan. But UTOPIA for me will always be my favourite. It's developed a cult following in the years since, and it's about basically a community of comic book fans who obsess over a graphic novel which is called the UTOPIA Experiments, which predicted a load of disastrous epidemics. Basically, in the world of this, it probably would have predicted coronavirus, because in the show, I think one of the things is mad cow disease. These comic book nerds, they've always heard rumblings of a rumoured unpublished manuscript which predicts future disasters that are going to occur, and then they find the manuscript. But what this uncovers is a huge conspiracy where they're hunted down, as you can imagine, by some very shady corporations who want to get their hands on it, and this show doesn't hold back. It's British TV at its pulpy best, and I think you're probably going to be deterred if you haven't seen it or you haven't heard of it, thinking, oh, but it's uncompleted. But the fact is, it exposed the flaws in completing a TV show. There are a lot of shows that you kind of wish hadn't been given their conclusion because it ruined what came before. But what we have here is 2 solid series of 6-episode series of just really adult, violent, visceral, brilliantly acted television. The cast: Alexandra Roach, Adil Akhtar, Fiona O'Shaughnessy. It's really, they're basically like graphic novel characters come to life. UTOPIA for me, is a British classic that more and more people are going to find. If I can help people find that, then that makes me happy.
So my hidden gem of the week is Forever, which is available to watch on Amazon Prime. The show is from 2018 and has Saturday Night Live stars Maya Rudolph and Fred Armisen. Star is this married couple, June and Oscar. In short, it's kind of a bittersweet comedy about love and change and kind of the weird reality of being monogamous to one person for the rest of your life. Obviously, Maya Rudolph and Fred Armisen are comedic heavyweights, and I really think their past together as friends and colleagues just really pays off here. Their chemistry on screen is palpable, and together they're just like a riot. The series was also created by Alan Yang, who was also partly behind the Aziz Ansari Netflix comedy Master of None. And while this one looks at monogamy as opposed to the subject of Aziz Ansari's show, there are definitely similarities between the two. So I think if you were a fan of that, then you'd be a fan of this.
Do you remember the time we were here and we saw all those butterflies?
Oh, yeah, that was really cool.
There's only one season, which is sad, but also makes it ideal for kind of a one-evening binge.
Thanks so much for watching Binge or Bin. You got some shows to seek out there and some to avoid. Join us again next time for some more recommendations. Like and comment below, and subscribe for more from independent TV.